Hi guys, welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk about the Koowheel, how to replace a deck of the Koowheel. Remember, this is the Koowheel last generation, so second generation Koowheel, how they call it. It's not an Ong Sport anymore. What to keep in mind and step by step how to do it and what problems I had while doing it. So let's get started. So, replacing the deck of a Koowheel. Now, first of all, you have to take everything from the Koowheel. And second of all, when you buy a new deck, keep the truck spacing in mind. Very important. Something I didn't keep in mind. I just looked at the length of the board. I can show you that the board I have is quite a bit longer, quite a bit wider. That's why I want a new board anyway. But as you can see as well, the truck spacing on this board is actually wider than the truck spacing of the board I have. So that gave me the first issue or problem. It can be solved, so don't worry if you make the same mistake. But it's handy just to keep in mind when you buy a new board. Why did I buy a new board? It has to do with the width. With stability I have on the new deck. It's way more stable, it's more curvy, it's a lot wider. I'm a big guy, got big feet, so I need a wider deck. And third of all, it's a drop-through deck. I'm lower to the ground, and lower to the ground means just more stability. And you really notice that a lot. With this deck I had to change if I go from certain speed modes. I had to change the tension on the trucks. With this deck, I don't need that anymore. A lot of people will say that an Evolve drives better as well, and it has a lot to do with the fact that it is a drop-through deck and it is a lot wider. It's even a lot longer. So, when you bought your new deck and you're going to place it, let me install this here. When you're going to place it, first take off the trucks. It's the easiest bit, and probably if you're going for a drop-through deck you will have your first issue already. As you can see on this one, here I need to make some more spacing. Here you can see the fluid lines that are originally there. This is what I made. I mean, the hub motors are a lot wider than the original wheels, so I had to make some more spacing over here, some more room for the wheels to turn and to actually fit. Now, as soon as you've done that, you can install the trucks the way you wanted it. So then I removed the battery holder, and then I removed the speed controller. The battery holder is not that hard. You got those little screws that pop out on this side, so you can turn this one back, give it a little smack with the hammer or the back side of the screwdriver. It then will pop out on the other side, as you can see on the little holes over here. And as soon as they pop out, you can remove the grip tape and take the screws off. As soon as you've done that, you start with the speed controller. With the speed controller, keep certain things in mind. There is a little curve you can see over here to this bit, and that's where your signal cable is going to be for the remote control. It's soldered to a little piece of copper, bad soldered as well. I removed it and it instantly came loose. But you don't need the copper bit, by my experience. I'm driving this deck, this new one, already for 3 weeks and didn't have any connection issues whatsoever. So remove that bit. Just be careful with the wire, because you need the wire. The speed controller is in a steel enclosure. If you're not gonna take the wire out of it, you probably have a very bad signal or no signal at all. keep that in mind. You need that wire. So as soon as you removed every bit, you're gonna reinstall it. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention with the trucks, if you go for drop through, you need different shock pads. I forgot to buy those, so I was a little bit in a hurry, so I cut them out of the old ones. Do not recommend it. It is possible. If you do so, you hardly need um, any new materials to actually get it on the drop through. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind. So when you're gonna place, first I place, when the trucks are there, you're gonna place the speed controller. If the wheel spacing is less than the old one, push your speed controller as far against your truck as possible. Why? Because you need to have all the space to remove the battery enclosure, from the battery enclosure. So remove this as far back as possible. As soon as you've done that, what I did with the wiring of the trucks, because you're gonna have quite a bit of wiring left over because the connectors are not that small. What I did was actually let the connectors go crossway. So you have the left connector is going to the right hub motor and the right connector is going to the left hub motor. This made it possible to overlap them, and because they overlap, they don't use that much, or they use more space, so they're not coming out that much anymore. Then you have, when you go to your battery enclosure, so you have your speed controller installed, you go to your battery enclosure. Oh, one thing still from the speed controller, that wire that's for the signal, for the remote control, I just took it out at one of the holes of the connectors for the hub motors, took it out there and shoved it underneath the cover. And here you see a little bit of tape, so here it pops out, and I put a little bit of tape on there so it stays where it is, and for the rest of it, it's underneath the cover, so it's protected. Good thing to keep in mind as well. So then you go to the battery enclosure. The battery enclosure has some issues. This deck is not as much curved, and it has a reason. The reason is that the battery is there, and the battery, to take it easily out and easily back in there, you need that straight bit. Since I got that new board and does not have that straight bit, the enclosure is already coming off of the deck, so quite a bit even. I mean, I can put my fingertips underneath it, so that's how far the enclosure is off the deck when there is battery in there. So now you can already guess it's quite a struggle from time to time to get the battery in, since the trucks are more closed or closer to each other and you don't have all that space on the deck anymore. You can't use the last two screws you have, or the first two, it depends on from where you count. If you count from the speed controller, the first two screws you have on the enclosure, I couldn't use them anymore because those screws tied the enclosure solid to the deck. With that, then I couldn't shift the battery battery not in there anymore because there was too little space. So what I did, I took two of the screws that were in the front because I needed some more space here as well. Took two of those screws and put them at the back. So I got two here with springs. Sorry, I got four here with springs, and then I got two here with springs. So the whole battery enclosure is held by springs, nothing else. And that gave me just enough room to actually get the battery out and get it back in again. I've changed it a lot already, so that's not the issue. You have to get handy in changing it. I mean, it's harder than the original one, I'm not gonna lie about it. But if I had more space in between the trucks, that would have already helped me a lot. So yeah, and as soon as you've done that, you're actually done. You don't need to drill a hole through your deck to get the wiring on top. You could do it through the truck hole if you go to drop through deck. I just keep the wiring of the signal when I'm talking about. I just keep that wiring underneath the board. I never had connections issues whatsoever. So yeah, then you have a new deck. I mean, I prefer it. I like it more. I like it better. It just looks better. Got way more stability while driving it. It drives a lot easier. So I would recommend it, but be careful. It's not as easy as it looks in this case. The next video, we're going to talk about the Koowheel as well. I'm going to show you guys how to increase the battery pack. So increase it by 30 to 40% in capacity. That means you can go almost to 8,000 milliamps an hour. And yeah, after that, I'm gonna check what I can improve as well, so we can get close to an evolve board. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned.